Hello and welcome to another Rotunda Report live edition. I'm Cale, one of the state bar lobbyists, and today we're going to be talking about elections. Elections are impactful for the state bar in a lot of the ways just because of how we have to react and the new leadership that comes in and the new legislators and how they particularly deal with state bar issues. The state bar doesn't take positions nor endorse during elections. So this is just an informational presentation to give you an idea of a preview of what we can look for in terms of the 2020 election cycle in November. It's important to kind of look at where we are currently in our status and the composition, and we're going to be talking about state Senate elections today. And in the state Senate, we have 18 Republican senators, and we have 13 Democratic senators. There are 2 vacancies currently in the state Senate. A couple of things to consider when you look at Senate elections. The election term is for 4 years. There's 33 members. The even districts are up in presidential elections, and the odd districts are up in gubernatorial elections. So this is an even district election year. So there's 16 seats, and 7 are currently held by Democrats, 7 are held by Republicans, and 7 are held by Democrats. And there are 2 vacant seats, which was mentioned previously in the last slide. The 12th, which was held by Senator Tiffany, who's now Congressman Tiffany, and the 32nd, which is former Minority Leader Jen Schilling, who left for the position in the private sector. The one thing we do know coming up in 2021 and what's going to occur in November is there is going to be a lot of change in the state Senate. Currently, there's 7 members. They've indicated that they will not be coming back either through retirements or new positions like Senator Tiffany. And there is a lifetime of long service by many of these senators. Things to watch in terms of Senate elections and Assembly elections, which we'll cover next week. The impact of COVID, obviously, which has created some economic issues. It's created concern about potential outbreaks and additional outbreaks. And then how we will generally deal with how the primary will be run and the general election that will be done, as whether it will be conducted by more of a vote by mail or absentee ballot or an in-person election. Already the Wisconsin Election Commission has indicated that we've gotten a record number of mail-in or absentee votes for the primary election, and I think we'll see those kind of numbers also in the general election. Top of the ticket is also something that's going to be impactful for the November 2020 election. This is top of the ticket, Trump versus Biden. Wisconsin's always been a competitive general election state and a statewide general election state for president, for governor, for statewide election. We're still a very purple state, but we have very red areas and very blue areas. And then top of the ticket, races matter. They haven't mattered in previous elections. We've seen people go and, for instance, vote for the Republican for a top of the ticket, and then a Democrat down ticket, or vice versa. And then finally, the Republicans are looking for a veto-proof majority with Governor Evers in the governorship. They would need to get the 22 seats in order to get to that veto-proof majority. There's a lot of competitive open seats from retirements. And then just generally how our campaign's going to be run this fall. There's not your typical dairy breakfast. There's not your typical parades and county fairs. So it'll be an interesting watch to see how candidates run their campaigns and how they get and reach out with their message to the electorate. A number of seats to watch. First, we'll start in Senate District 10. It's held by Senator Patty Shockner, who's a Democrat. She won through a special election. This seat has been competitive over the last few decades. We've seen a couple of Dems there. We've seen Republicans. It started to trend more Republican when Senator Sheila Harsdorf held the seat for many, many years. And then you can see there that Trump did carry the seat by 17 points in 2016, but it's also a district that voted for Obama previously in '08 and 12. So an important swing seat for both parties. The 24th is another seat that's kind of moved in and out. It's been held by Democrats for a number of years. It did flip in 16. It's currently held by Senator Pat Tustin. Again, Trump carried the seat in 16, but a seat that Obama won previously, much like the 10th in '08 and 12. This will be a seat that Democrats are looking, obviously, to play offense in, and Republicans will be playing a little bit of defense in the 24th. The 30th is open seat due to the retirement of Dave Hansen. You see here that Trump did carry the seat by 11 points in 16, but when Hansen was up in 16, he won by 2 points, a classic ticket-splitting race. It'll be one to watch in this particular case. Green Bay is trending a little bit more Democratic. They've been Democratic previously, but kind of a seat that could go either way. And as you go north towards Prestigo, Marinette area, it turns a little more red and a little bit more solid GOP. And then finally, the 32nd, which is open due to the retirement of Jen Schilling, which was mentioned before. Dan Kopinski is running on the Republican side, and he held the seat in '04 and 12. Well known in the district of being an owner of a local Northwoods baseball team. And then also well known in the district is Brad Pfaff, who was the incoming appointee for Governor Evers in his Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection Secretary. He's running on the Democratic side. This was a very close race in 16. When Trump was up, Schilling and Kopinski actually ran against each other at that particular point, and it was very, very close. Only a handful of votes separated the two. This would be an important area that a lot of groups are looking at, both from a statewide perspective for President Trump, but also the local and assembly races are important districts here, and the Senate race as well. And then finally, just a few other races to kind of look at and watch as things move forward in November. Again, we've seen some wave elections occur in the past, '08 when Obama was up, 12, 16 when Trump was up. So we've seen times to where a topic ticket can gain some momentum and seats surprisingly come into play. Senate District 8 would potentially be a seat to watch. The 14th and the 18th are seats to kind of look at there. Of the 14th and 18th, I think for the most part, the 14th would be open due to retirement. So that would be why I was on the list. The 18th has had a Democrat in that seat previously, but a really trending kind of more GOP area. And then the 8th will be an interesting look. Senator Alberta Darling currently holds that seat. But one area that I think people have been looking at is a potential erosion of support from Trump in the suburbs. And I think we'll see more competitive seats around the Milwaukee suburb areas. The Senate District 8 would be one of those, and there might be a handful in the Assembly to watch as well. So finally, just a couple of final thoughts. Again, this will be a difficult election to predict due to a number of different factors. COVID, obviously, the pandemic, how people go out and vote, how people get reached by the candidates. So it'll be really hard to look at this in terms of a prediction standpoint, and I can see lots of things move up and down the dial for election watchers. What will the polls show? Obviously, we've seen in past elections, polls have been off here or there a little bit, and will there be an accurate view of what the electorate is looking at come November? How candidates campaign and how the process will work. If it does become more of a absentee ballot or mail-in ballot process, a lot of people will make their decisions long before Election Day and send those out. So we may not see, the old October surprise like we have seen in the past. And then finally, the next edition of Rotunda Report Live, we'll take a look at assembly elections and some of the potential outcomes and things to look at there. Finally, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us in the Public Affairs Department, either through email or by phone. And then finally, we encourage you to subscribe to our Rotunda Report newsletter and follow us on Twitter. And check out wisbar.org/government relations to learn more about our government relations program and our grassroots efforts at the State Bar. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.